Pretty touching scenes at the end, and that applause both to the travelling support and which was reciprocated as well from the Ipswich Town fans. I mean, in the end, by the nature of the result today, not helped by the red card, did that kind of epitomise Ipswich's season?
In a way, yeah. I think at home they were a bit awkward. I thought they some games where teams had to go there and they knew they were in for a game and they had to play at their very best to beat them. But no, I think, as we said earlier, they're the three teams that have gone down deserve to go down, letting that amount of goals go in. But no, it was going to be tough for them today. Newcastle were a very good side, as we saw today.
Yeah.
And, whether they can get back up, it's a very tough thing. One thing coming up to the Premier League, to stay there is a tough job. To go down and come back, it necessarily doesn't mean it's just going to happen.
No.
They're going to have to work very exceedingly hard.
But to put it into context, let's not forget back-to-back promotions from League One to the Premier League under Kieran McKenna.
Yeah.
I mean, and to, reap, I suppose, the rewards that come with being in the Premier League. They've given themselves foundations to build upon from here on in, really.
Yeah, they have. But we say that about a lot of teams when they go down. So they need to bounce straight back up. They get one shot at it. Parachute money as well. They're going to need to use that. They're going to need to keep hold of their players. There's a lot of players. I use Liam Delap, for instance. I think he's of value to someone in the Premier League. I think he's shown enough. What did he score? 14 goals or something this season? For someone to score that amount of goals in the team with 21 points, shows that he's got some potential to play in the Premier League. So they'll find it very difficult if he's got a buyout clause, which I think he has in his contract. He will leave. They will get good money for him. But they need to make sure they don't weaken themselves entirely so they can't bounce back at the first attempt. I think it's really difficult. I'd love to know now. I'm not sure we get an honest answer, but I'd love to ask the money men there at Ipswich do they wish they never spent the £100+ million? Because with 21 points, they weren't even close. They didn't even make a run of it, really. I mean, let's be honest about it. And nor did the other two teams who come up with them. So to spend that amount of money, do they feel like it was wasted money? It is wasted money if they don't keep hold of those players.
Yeah.
Yes, the wages will drop because they come out. The relegation clauses always, and certainly a team like Ipswich who come up, their wages will be halved or whatever it might be, 3/4. So they will save on some wages, but they need to keep all them players to bounce back into the Premier League, and hopefully they'll be more suited to stay in there. But they were miles away.
Yeah, but it was always going to be a steep learning process, not only for the group of players, but for Kieran McKenna, let's not forget, who's still very much a novice in the game.
Yes, I mean, he's done a fantastic job there with the promotions that he's got. But at the end of the day, I'll go back to what I'm saying. If you come up into this division and think you're just going to pick the reins up from where you are in the Championship and dominate and play like you want to play, you can't. Southampton thought they were going to do the same. And it just isn't there. You've got to become an awkward team. You've got to play with a different style in a way that you go, oh, hang on a minute, we've got to think about the way they play. They don't play like everyone else. They're going a bit longer. Yeah. So if you go longer, you make your opponents go into a back four straight away. They don't have a chance to come and press you like in the modern game where you put your full-backs up and everyone goes pressing. You don't get a chance if you're going to every goal kick or the keeper's going to play it long. Be awkward. Be awkward for a season and then consolidate, and then you've got a chance of staying in there. Now, that is not the way. That's not vogue, as I call it.
Sexy enough.
It's not sexy. It's not the way to play. But if you want to survive, and it's about survival, they all think they're going to come in there and do a Brentford. But that was earned through year after year, surviving, playing a certain way. Now they've earned the right to go and play and go face-to-face against Arsenal or whoever. But that's not going to happen overnight when you come up.
So it's all about consolidation, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. For Newcastle, it's a very different story. 6 wins in the last 7. They move into the top 3 as they move a step closer to Champions League qualification next season. Let's hear from the goal scorer of their second goal, and unbelievably his first Premier League goal of this season, Dan Burn.
Dan, after a difficult day at Villa Park last week, how important, how good does that win feel?
Yeah, massive. I think it was always going to be a huge game with the amount of games we had left. I thought Ipswich started well and it was pretty tight until the sending off, and we got the penalty, but I thought we sorted out really well. There's been a few times when we've played against teams with 10 men we're getting a little bit sloppy and allowed the pressure to build, but I thought we played really well, kept the ball on their half and scored some good goals.
Alex, of course, gave you the leads, and then the big Dan Burn show in the second half. First goal of the Premier League season. How nice it to get it. Does that avoid you a forfeit?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I always normally have a bet with my brother, so it's, I'm glad I've finally got one. I've had enough chances. I felt like I was going to score today. I thought there was a few I could have get now, so I was just glad to finally get over the line. And
of course, the first Premier League goal for Will Asula. He's a character, isn't he? I mean, how delighted are you for Will?
No, yeah, buzzing for him. He's had to wait a long time for his opportunity. He's young, still learning how we play. But yeah, great header. Not sure if he meant it, but yeah, really happy for him.
Often it's described as a bit of a family, this squad. How good was that win for the boss with his first game back, and how nice to have him back on the touchline?
Yeah, great to have him back. As I said, he said he was going to try and take it easy in training. I think he'd already stopped it within 30 seconds and was giving away a little bit. So yeah, no, it was good to have him back. He's the leader. He sort of holds with the high standards. As I said, it was really important that we got that win today. Everyone seems to be winning round us, so we need to sort of keep that momentum.
Yeah, just finally back to third. It's nerve-wracking. It's exciting for the fans. What the heck is this Champions League race like for you players?
No, it's great. It's exciting. I think this is when you want to play football. This is what you want to be doing. You want to be sort of in contention in the last sort of 4 or 5 games. I think it's been a really good Premier League season. I don't think it's been, obviously Liverpool have, I wouldn't say walked away with it, but they're pretty well clear. But I think there's a lot of teams competing this year, so it's been exciting.
Top man, thanks for your time.
Nice one.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah, 3 goals, 3 different goal scorers into third, and with Eddie Howe back in the dugout. Not a bad day for the Magpies.
Yeah, there's pressure on them because Chelsea's result earlier, so they know they couldn't slip up.
Yeah.
I don't think they can slip up between now and the end. It's going to go right to the wire. It's very exciting, this race, and thank goodness for it.
Yeah. And there was a case or an element of the St James's Park roar behind this team, which almost kind of, kept on going throughout the game, especially on the back of that red card.
Yeah, I think the red card helped them, obviously, when your opponents go down to 10 men in the first half. If it's like 20 minutes to go and they can hold on, that's different. But they just had this little spell where it looked like it might not be their day as well, because they had chance after chance, clearance off the line. It was like amazing, sort of 3 or 4 minutes. And then the penalty came and just sort of relaxed everyone. And then you just felt they were going to, against 10 men, you go 1-0 up under them circumstances. Very difficult for Ipswich to come back. You knew they were going to pen them in, and they did the job professionally in the end.
Let's have a look at that penalty incident to begin with then. Julio Enciso fouling Jacob Murphy. Was this a straightforward call for you, Tim?
No, I don't think it was straightforward. I thought it was soft. I think there was contact. Yes, Enciso grabs Murphy's arm, and he's entitled to go down. He just swivels on it, just pulls himself away. There's the grab there. Don't hold on for too long. I think if the referee didn't give that, I don't think VAR would have stepped in.
I think that's the angle. As soon as I saw it from that angle, I'm thinking, he's going to give a penalty because of he's just dragged his arm back. And
good penalty from Enciso.
Yeah, decent penalty. I think if the keeper goes early a little bit and goes the right way, I think he saves it. Not the best, probably, but they deserve to be 1-0 up. By hook or by crook, it's by a penalty, but because of the way they were playing, they created chance after chance after chance.
Yeah, we saw the red card after that, and that really fired up the home crowd, as I mentioned, that element of their support to the Newcastle players. Dan Burn getting up his first Premier League goal of the season. We know what he did in the final at Wembley in the League Cup. But as far as the top division goes, his first of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Kieran just realises an overload, and this, once it comes over the goalkeeper, there's absolutely no chance that's not ending up anywhere else but in the back of the net. O'Shea there knows he's got a problem. He sees big Dan Burn there next to the referee coming up. No one fancies marking him, especially if this ball is getting dinked to the far post. As soon as it comes there, see, now he's got a problem. He's looking, he's lost him. Now, Dan, there's only one outcome there. Once that comes over the top, look at him, 6 for 8. He's taking everyone and putting them in the net. And O'Shea, I don't know why he's complaining that there, because he's caught up in the net. I thought it was a fish for 1 minute.
But I tell you what, I mean, there's no stopping Dan Burn when he's in that position, is there?
No, it was a beautifully flighted ball as well from Trippier. But the corner, they went asleep on the corner. But that's the problem. You've got a corner and you've got 10 men. Realistically, they should have had one out there, but you don't want to put one out there. Look, they go, and then there's a corner on the next goal. This is a great header. This is really almost Shearer-like, I think, and the young kid, he's just had to go backwards a bit, beautifully guided, just jumps well, times it to perfection, doesn't try and hit it too hard. Whistler, and look, right behind it, beautifully, yes, executed. Great header. Not sure about an Alan Shearer celebration, though. Don't think Alan would have done that.
Not sure. I'm not sure Alan's got the moves for that. But look, you're
Got the
enjoying
hips
it.
for
And
that
why
now,
not?
though.
I mean, the kid's waited for his opportunity. It's been hard for him to get opportunities. Wilson's been stepping in. But I think that Oslu he looked like he's got confidence. After that, we saw him drag one to the side, hit one with his left foot. He's very unlucky, got deflected wide. He just needs a run. Needs a run to see what he can possibly do. And he looks like he's got Premier League quality.
That result sealed Ipswich Town's fate. So let's get some reaction from their dressing room on relegation being confirmed. Here's Luke Woolfenden.
We'll talk the game in a second, but of course, Ipswich confirmed relegated. Just sum up your feelings right now.
I think obviously disappointed, but I think within the group and within the fan base, you know, there's a sense of pride of the journey that we've been on and where we've come from. You know, obviously we've not been at it this season. I'm not sure too much is based on the football ability. I think brain-wise we've probably let ourselves down too many times. But yeah, I think obviously disappointing and gutted that the dream's sort of kind of over. But I think there's a pride and a determination that the boys want to be back here again in 14 months and come stand toe-to-toe with Newcastle and you know, have a proper go at them.
We'll come on to that in a second. Just on the game today, how much do you think the result kind of hinged on that crazy 10-15 minutes towards the end of the first half? There was the red card, then the penalty decision.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure it's a yellow for Jono, the first one. Obviously the second one definitely is, so once he's got a yellow, it's obviously, you know, the ref has to do that. But I think the first one's probably not a yellow. So the penalty is what it is. But, you know, I think we're in a stage where we're enjoying frustrating the crowd and actually seeing it out, and the defending of the box was actually quite good. It was just, again, that moment that I said earlier about just being a bit wiser and trusting your teammates, you know, and not making that foul in the box, just letting them go and hoping that your mate can get you out of trouble. But yeah, I think it massively hinged on that. You know, once we got the red card and then you have something to cling on to at 0-0, but once you give the penalty away, then, you know, you're really up against it.
Yeah, honest views of Luke Woolfenden on Ipswich Town's relegation from the Premier League today. For Newcastle, they maintain that pursuit, right, of the top five. I mean, that's a big boost for them. And the nature of the win will help. Yeah,
I mean, in front of their home fans, you know, everyone thought it's going to be after the Lord Mayor show, you know, where they win the Carabao Cup and then they take a dip. I think they were very fortunate that an international break come at the end of that, so they could enjoy it. And then they come back refreshed and looking to play in the Champions League. They know they want to get back to there. And a lot of these players, if they want to keep the likes of Isak and Gamarish, Joe Linton, there's so many of them who are good enough to play in Champions League sides. So they want to stay at Newcastle and they want to play in that tournament. So it's really important that they get there. If they don't, it's really difficult to attract players and keep your best ones.
Yeah, and the prospect of a special season is still there.
Well, it's special anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's special. If you want a trophy at Newcastle, my word. But to add that with a Champions League position as well, you know, there'll be statues and all sorts of Eddie Howe up there in Jordan.
Yeah.
And Jason will be quite close to him.
As he always will, which is part of the job description, no doubt. All right, let's bring up